faster internet, and high-end processors. It took us by surprise. So it took 100 years from the time Alexander Graham Bell invented the first telephone to reach each one of us. But it took only 15 to 20 years for this smartphone to reach around 90% of the population, and that is the scenario. So this tsunami didn't stop there. It kept sending its shock waves after and after what we get it in a tsunami in a small pockets like apps which are addictive. Yes, you heard it right. This caused us addiction. Maybe this Oxford and Cambridge dictionary, when they coined this term addiction, they only thought about gambling, alcohol, drugs. They didn't think that this is a new thing that is coming. If you think of this digital addiction, it is the far most common addiction, more than an alcohol, drugs and gambling combined. Right? So, what has this led to? Slowly and steadily it is coming into our life and is creating a new life called, I call it as iGen. That is an information generation. So this is where, we feel that, if we are missing something, our hands goes into the pocket all the time, searching something. We get a palpitation and anxiety attack if you don't see that Wi-Fi or if you don't see that 4G connection in our phones, right? This is something what we experience. So now, what I'm going to talk today is about how this is affecting the children, and I will just run through how it affects all ages. How it is, what is the implication of screen time on the child's well-being? How can we think about balancing the screen time and any strategies and some summary, and then we can have some little bit of a Q&A session. Please feel to interrupt me if you feel at any point of time if you want to ask any questions. So, 1/3 of the children currently use gadgets. This is the fact. So, right now, as we speak, a little infant is now mastering the art of swiping and tapping the phone, drooling the saliva. This is as early as it starts. Right now, an 18-month-old is trying to walk and text. Perhaps we learned it late, isn't it? So, but these children at 18 months are now trying to do that. Isn't it, sad that around 300,000 teens die every year in the United States alone, texting while driving? And what are we doing about it? Right now, a toddler is trying to potty train by watching a laptop or an iPad. That's the only way they can be made to sit at one place. So I pause here and just ask you this question. How much should be a screen time for a toddler that is under 2 years of age? How many of you can raise the hands? How many of you think should be 30 minutes? Okay, few of you. 1 hour? You say 0. Okay. 2 hours, anybody? You are right, 0. So, but if you think, I'm sure we all are parents, you're all parents, just think about, what is the way we are trying to calm our children, right? Because we want our work done, we just give them that little iPad, they keep scrolling and tapping, and we see in the clinics, they come, parents are sitting at one corner and the child is just happy scrolling and tapping, and this is the era we are living in. So how do they present to us? So many parents come and tell us, my child doesn't speak, and my child doesn't have an eye contact. This is closely mimics autism, but it is not autism, but this is the behavioral problem. So this issue arises because there is no human-to-human communication. There is no stimulation. So this is one of the most common presentation. They don't speak, they don't have a human connect, and most of them come by around 2 years of age. Right now, a child is going to sleep with his iPad. And most of the children, to our surprise, I had a teenager who came to me a few days ago, and he cannot go to school. He has got severe headaches, and he has been visiting physicians of physicians, investigations of investigations, but nothing. No, I sat with him for a detailed discussion. I asked him, what do you do and why you don't like school, and tell me a bit about yourself. And I did realize that he spends almost 20 hours on the gadget. 20 hours. And how can he concentrate? How can he go to school? And what is his life? Right? And this is addiction. And why I call this as an addiction? Because the moment you try to take away any of these things, what is our first response? Withdrawal. So it is true, the gadgets cause addiction, and taking up the gadgets do cause withdrawal. So if we imagine ourselves, for 2 minutes if we don't find a phone in our pocket, we will be searching everywhere, right? And if you take a phone from a 2-year-old and it starts crying, and what do? We give it back. And this is addiction. This starts as early as 2-year-old. 4 out of 5 kids, surprisingly, don't know who they're talking in the virtual world. So they don't know what is the difference. They're talking to an adult, they're talking to a child, and we are living in the virtual world. As we speak, many of the teenagers are photoshopping every day. I'm sure many of you who are teenage children know about it. And as a society, we are telling them they're not looking good enough, and they keep taking photos and photos. As we speak, majority of the photos on the social media are selfies, right? And again, what is the downside of it? Our children are already leaving a digital imprint on the social media. Maybe somebody knows what our children dress like, what is their favorite color, what are they doing, where do they stay. So this is already coming into their life. Hanging out with friends is virtual. Today, the play date, when we were kids, we went and played and we were happy. And today, you can sit at home and you can have a play date with a friend there is somewhere, and you can still play a game. So you go to today, for us, a football match, a cricket match is something we go to a stadium, we watch. But today, 40,000 teenagers are, as we speak, are in the stadium virtually and playing football and supporting a team. And this is the virtual world. And this is the situation. What happens? We all know that. When we go for a family, this is what happens. There is no human connections. There is no talking to each other, and we finish the dinner. It is shocking that the earliest age of exposure of a child for an explicit content is 11 years, and more shocking is it is decreasing year by year. Some friends told them to tap in some 4 or 5 letter word on a search box, and it is easily available. And the explicit content addiction is probably far more than an Amazon, Netflix, Prime Time, whatever you think combined. And this is the world we are living in. So, what do? No handshakes. We don't look face to face. Our birthday celebration, even the condolence messages are through emojis. So maybe some part of the children or the younger generation may have forgotten what is emotions. How do we express emotions? How do we give a little hug? How do we console someone? And this is the era we are living in. And I ask myself a question: why children or us as an adolescent, grown up, get addicted? The smartphone people are very clever. They have driven this dopamine technology into this. So every time you get into a screen, you get a dopamine kick. So much so that we feel that we have put it on an IV drip with the dopamine. Dopamine is a happy hormone. When we feel happy, when we feel good, we get into a dopamine drive. So it is true that somewhere in the process we get into what we call it as a ludic loop. Anybody know about what ludic loop is? So ludic loop is basically, it comes from the gambling. So when you go to a slot machine, you keep putting money, keep losing money, but still people keep playing, and you will get some rewards. But people won't exit from there. They'll put the money back again. So this is where somewhere, this is where the apps comes in. The new apps coming in, new app coming in, we get some rewards, but we get so addicted that our dopamine drives continues. What is the scary thing about this? We are all developing a new neural connection. First 20 years is very crucial. The brain is growing, establishing a new connection. Whatever that we learn in our everyday life is due to a new neural connection that happens in our body, in our brain. And most of it happens in the first 20 years of life. And that is why the first growing up is very critical. And getting the right neural connection is very, very important. The nerve connections in the brain. So if you look into the child or an adult who is addicted, the MRI, we call it as a functional MRI, to just look at what is the, how does the brain look. From a person who is not addicted, they're very different. They're very different, and even the addiction to the gadgets or the screen time is very similar to the addiction what you would find with drugs, alcohol or gambling. Same kind. And so much of the neural connections happens in the first, maybe in our children in the first 20 years of life, that at some point of time it may become irreversible. So this is the scary part, and this is the world we are living in. And the companies are very clever. We are now moving from 3G, 4G, 5G, 12G, because this is the process of addiction. An innumerable number of apps. What is the difference between a drug and an app? An addicting drug and an app? So, the drug has to go through a process of growing, manufacturing, licensing, packaging and selling. And it takes few years. An addicting drug. What happens with the app? Tomorrow or in sitting here, you can download a new app, an addicting app. And this is how it is coming. So fast, so quick, and it is addicting. So this is the world we are living in. And of course, pandemic didn't do any justice. It took lives, but in that process, it made us digital addicted. So we all know that, and that was the only option. I'm not saying the digital medium is bad or not correct, but somewhere in the process many things are adding in. So what do we do? What we see as doctors, what do we come across in these children when we see the clinic? Many of the children come with an anxiety of fear of missing. Like if you don't see your social media post, you feel that something is missing. Fear of being the first. You want to be the first person who wants to go on, click and like it. Sleep disorders. I gave you one of this example. Many children go to bed with a gadget and they wake up with a gadget. They wake in the middle of the night to look up and scroll for the gadget. And we are controlled. And I'm sure many of us also probably the victim of this. Headaches. Children go from shop to shop, clinic to clinics with headaches. We do a joint clinics with our neurologists, psychologists, headache, of course, as a clinicians, you want to make sure there's not anything worrying or pathological. We do all the investigations, you don't find anything. But deep inside, the problem is they don't sleep. Concentration difficulties, because any of these gadgets is a short attention. And learning should be a process. Books were introduced 6,000 years ago. We never found any side effect of reading a books or reading things. Why? It's a process. It is a difficult process. Anything through a difficult process we learn as a humans, it stays with us for a longer time. It gives us good concentration. But the gadgets is a very short attention span. So they don't concentrate quickly, you need to keep going. Of course, sedentary lifestyle. We don't want to do anything. They want to play video games, they want to sit, they want to eat, because dopamine drive is coming in, you just want to sit and eat, you get depressed, you eat more, and you gain weight. And 30% of the children are either in UAE, in a study, are either overweight or obese. It costs almost 50 pounds of the strain on your neck when you're doing like this. Neck pains as we go across. Strains in the relationship because there is no human connect. Delayed motor and developmental skills, as we discussed about, they don't talk, they don't want to interact, delayed speech, tantrums because they took the gadgets away. Another interesting thing is, we recognize this as a problem. You all recognize this as a problem, right? When you come to us as a physician, this is a true mental health crisis. The children many of us are going through. But there is something for a Bible, for a psychiatrist or a psychologist, where we need to classify the disease, which is called Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. Surprisingly, there is no terminology as digital addiction in DSM manual. As a doctor, if you come to me when I see you in the clinic and I write you this is the symptoms you suffer from flu, you refer from tummy bug, I put the ICD code. That is how your insurance gets coded, and that is how the insurance looks into payment. Surprisingly, there is no ICD code for digital addiction. Of course, we all understand what is the benefit. If you think about all the side effects, put it backwards, these are the benefits. It is a sedentary lifestyle. A lot of children went on to wearing glasses post-COVID because of the eye strain. Improved sleep, we had to think about this. Face-to-face interaction, increased focus, balanced growth, increased mindfulness, emotional regulation, whatnot. All this are the effects of having a good balanced screen time. What are the strategies? 2 to 5 year old should not be on a screen for more than an hour. And 6-year-old should have a screen limit. Of course, you'll ask me, Dr. Dinesh, how easy or how difficult it is to maintain a screen time? It is not easy. Screen time again is an addictive thing. If you tell your child after 2 hours I will take it out, he starts crying, he starts screaming. So that is the thing. So how do we do about it? We have to acknowledge that this is important. We have to give them an advance notice, maybe 15 to 20 minutes before, and tell the time is going to come up. In 20 minutes, we take the screen off and we lock it up. And this is important. So they're prepared, they're mentally prepared. We have to teach them that probably the screen time is something like an addiction. Like you put the water in a bucket with a hole and it keeps leaking and leaking, we keep pouring and pouring. So this, why, and one of the reasons the children also get addicted, many of these social media contents, your Facebook, your Instagram, the YouTube, you're limitless and endless. There is no end to it. Millions and millions of pages, every minute, every second, the new thing is coming up. You keep scrolling, getting this dopamine, and you don't know end to it. So the same thing happens in the screen time. Children cannot stop. So we need to set an advance time to them and tell them this is the time probably we are going to stop. In 15 minutes, in 20 minutes. Getting into some hobbies. Well, today when I see the patients and my patients and I ask them, what's your hobby? They pause and they start thinking because they don't have an hobby. Hobby is important. Hobby beyond screen time. It could be painting, it could be group activities, it could be some kind of a sports, it could be reading books, many of this. But we have to be a role model as a parent. What are the other things we can do at school level and many things? Even learning today is iPads and the meetings are on the digital medium. Think about tech-free zones in areas. It could be in your office space, it could be in your school space, it could be a meal time where you can have a tech-free time where people talk, people connect, leave the phones everywhere, tech-free meetings. Implement screen-free days. As a parent, let's say for example, Friday, let's say in school, Friday is a digital-free Friday. Right? In home, Saturday is a digital-free Saturday. It's important. And initially you will have this withdrawal symptoms. We did ourselves at our family, and I do, sometimes I'm on call. I had to pick my phone, so I go to the bathroom and hide myself and then talk because I don't want to talk in front of my family because we all agreed that Saturday afternoons are digital-free afternoons. We don't touch phones. Start technology dialogue. Maintain a communication line with your teenagers. It is important because if they don't know what is happening and they don't have someone to talk about, maybe bullying, maybe something they're going on social media, maybe they are something harassed on social media, you should be the people they should be able to come and talk. So you need to maintain that communication line with, with your children. Creating quality time, of course, doing something, maybe board games, maybe playing something outside. It's something you can think about. Modeling healthy behavior. Of course, we are the role model. What we do, our parents, our children learn from us. So on this note, few takeaways. Of course, this is truly a mental health crisis, and we have to acknowledge this. This is now or never. Less of a scrolling, more of a living is the mantra. It is the need of the hour. And of course, it's a team effort. It has to be at many levels: the school level, the home level, community level, engaging as a community, tech-free community events, and we should be the ambassadors because we all are a part of it. Smarter people did it, and I tell you why. Steve Jobs, when he invented the smartphone, iPhone, he didn't give that to his children. Bill Gates once said, "What do you do at work when everybody is, scrolling and surfing on the computer?" He said, "I take a few bunch of newspaper and I read." So he does reading. Right. So it is now or never. So I think I would like to take a second and then acknowledge all my team members here, because these are all the people, the gastroenterologists, we have neurologists, pulmonologists, because children come with different presentations due to this digital addiction. They can come with tummy pain, they come with headaches. Many of us look around and they evaluate, and then we all come as the MDT team, come to a conclusion and make a plan for children. And it is a teamwork even for us. I stop here. Thank you once again. I'm happy to be